At this point, we're going to go inside. We're going to check out the interior of the truck, make sure we understand and can operate all the controls inside the tractor. We're going to do some air brake tests, and we're going to check that everything works, and then we'll be ready to go on the road. I was asked to make sure that we talked about some compliance issues. When drivers are getting ready to go out on the road, they need to make sure that their HUT sticker, their license plate, their registration, and their IFTA stickers are in place. They need to make sure that they have their permit book. They need to make sure they have the registration and the insurance cards in here. They also must have one of these laminated cards that shows them the instructions for how to use the electronic Qualcomm, their electronic logs, and everything that has to do with that Qualcomm. It's printed on both sides. It's handy to have, but you've got to have one of these with you if you're on electronic logs. Make sure that this is correct. Make sure you have all your permits. You may not be hauling a load of liquor, for example, someplace, but you might be bringing one back. You want to make sure you have all of your permits that are required. Make sure you look for this book in the truck before you leave. It's a requirement. You have to have this documentation with you. This is a standard driver's inspection report. In the morning, when you're getting ready to leave, you're going to do this entire inspection, and you need to document the inspection. You have to have this documentation with you if you get stopped. Basically, you want to put your truck and trailer number in there, you want to put your mileage in there, and you want to go around the truck. Once you're sure that there's no defects that you found and the truck is safe to go out, mark no defects for the tractor, no defects for the trailer. Make sure you sign and date it. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that you mark down anything that you found during the day that could be a problem and bring it to the maintenance department's attention so it gets fixed, so that when you go to use it or the next guy goes to use it, the truck is ready to go and it's safe to go out on the road, so that we're not delaying freight. What we're going to do is we're going to shut the truck off, and we're going to start by inspecting our air pressures. And in order to do that, we have made sure that the air has been built all the way up, and in this case it's built up, and the gauges show just over 120 psi on both air gauges, which means both systems are pressured up where they should be. What we're going to do when we start our in-cab inspection, now that we've checked our credentials and made sure that we have all of our compliance issues taken care of, we're going to check out the truck to make sure that the air system is working from inside the cab. So what we're going to do first, well, what we've done is we've built the air all the way up until the governor kicked out, and that's just over 120 pounds on each gauge. We have the key on so that the gauges have turned on, and what we're going to do is we're going to release our brakes by pushing the yellow and the red buttons in, and that releases the brakes and what charges the air system, which means fills the air system, and the tank's up. And so our supply side has an initial pressure drop, and we put our foot on the brake, and we're going to hold our foot on the brake for at least a minute, and we're looking for a 4 psi per minute drop in the gauges. And what we're watching is just to see if the gauges are going to drop, basically. And so our minute is just about up. The next part of the test is we're going to pump the air down, and when the air pressure drops, what we're doing is we're simulating an air leak. And what we're looking for is the warning light and buzzer to come on before we lose pressure down to 60 psi. And so we pumped the air down to pretty close to 60 psi. Our warning lights have come on and our warning buzzer has come on to indicate that we have low air pressure. Now we're going to pump the air pressure down, simulating that same air leak. And what we're looking for is we're looking for our buttons to pop out, which indicate that the emergency brakes have popped on, and they need to do that between a pressure of 25 and 40 psi. And in this case, they both came on right around 38 psi. Okay. Now we've tested these emergency brakes, and they have come on. Our pressure is low. And so what we need to do now is we need to see if our compressor's working right. And what we're doing is we're looking for that compressor to build the air back up to 125. And the air pressure is coming right back up the way it should. Some of the other things that we're going to inspect inside the truck, we're going to make sure that we have our fire extinguisher, which we want to make sure is properly charged, which means it's got the needle on it needs to be in the green. That fire extinguisher needs to be secure, and it needs to be within the driver's reach. There should be reflective triangles, and a driver should have a kit with him that has a camera and an accident kit with him, so that if there is a problem, he can take some pictures and get that to the safety department. We're looking for 2 inches of play in the steering wheel. We're looking for our horns to work. That's our electric horn. There's our air horn. We are looking for our defroster to work. We're looking for our wipers to work. We're looking for our window washers to work. Our high beam indicator. Left-hand turn signal indicator, right-hand turn signal indicator, and our high beam indicator to make sure that the controls are working. We're going to check our 4-ways in here to make sure that the 4-way flasher indicators are working. We're checking our engine oil temperature, our oil temperature here, pressure, our water temperature, our volts. This is our DEF indicator that tells us we have enough of that fluid in the tank, and this is our regular fuel. It tells us we have enough fuel in the tank. And these are our air gauges. They've come up to about 125, and our compressor has stopped working, which indicates that the truck is building air properly, and the governor is turning the compressor off at the correct temperature, and it looks like our voltmeter is telling us that it's charging the way it should. Our fender mirrors, our side mirrors, and our spot mirrors are all clean. They're undamaged, and they're adjusted for me for the trip. In addition, I want to check my window glass to make sure it's not damaged. There's not any illegal stickers, anything that's blocking my vision. It's clean. I can see well. Overall condition of the inside of the cab needs to be nice and clean so that there's not a lot of problems there. I want to look to make sure everything is secure. It's just an organizational thing. You don't want to open the windows and have your papers blown out. All kinds of nasty things can happen when things aren't secure in here. You want to make sure that you keep this as clean and as tidy as you can. If you take care of the truck will take care of you. Part of the inspection, once your pre-trip is pretty much completed and you're getting ready to leave, a very important thing that you need to do is test your brakes before you leave. So we're going to start the truck up. Make sure it's in neutral. We're going to relax the clutch, and we're going to check our air pressure. So our air pressure is built all the way up where it should be, about 125 psi, and we're going to push our buttons in and release our parking brakes and release our trailer by putting the air in the trailer. It's going to release those spring brakes back there. The spring brakes hold the truck, and we're going to get prepared to leave the curb. So one of the first things we're going to do is, after everything, our truck and trailer have all their air and the air starts to build a little bit, is we're going to lock our trailer brakes back down so that the spring brakes are locked, and we're going to give the trailer a tug with the tractor. The tractor brakes are released, the trailer brakes are locked down, and we're going to tug against those spring brakes. That tells us two things. It tells us that the trailer brakes are going to hold the rig still if we park, It tells us that the brakes are working, and it also tells us that we have the trailer properly hooked. If it wasn't properly hooked, the tractor would pull away and the trailer would stay put and it would come apart. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to lock the tractor brakes, and we're going to lock those parking brakes down, and we're just going to give the tractor a little bit of a tug. And we're going to tug against the tractor brakes, and that tells us that those tractor brakes are going to hold. Now we're going to release all of the brakes, and we're going to check to make sure we still have over 100 psi. 90 is required, but we don't usually leave the curb unless we got 100 psi. And we're going to pull our hand valve down, which activates the trailer brakes only. And we're going to tug against the brakes. We're going to tug against the brakes by pulling this hand valve down, and that tells us that air pressure is getting back to the trailer, and that the air pressure is sufficient to lock those trailer brakes down, and it tells us that those trailer brakes are working. Now we can move the truck. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull ahead. We're going to get up to about 5 miles an hour, and then we're going to push the clutch in, and we're just going to come to a somewhat abrupt stop. And what we're doing there is we're looking for the truck to pull to one side or the other, which tells us we have a problem with the brakes on the front of the truck. And we're looking for the truck to come to an immediate stop, which tells us that once we hit the highway and get moving with this truck, when we go to stop, we will be able to stop.